Okay, all right. So today our lesson is class number 2. Class number 2, what is it about again? Basically, we are learning how to write strokes today. Strokes. Okay, so strokes is a very simple lesson. Basically, you're just going to learn like, hey, how do I write? You see like Chinese words, right? Which one do I write first? Which stroke do I write first? Is it like drawing? People will always have that kind of question. So today we will learn the art of writing the Mandarin characters. Okay, all right. So let's get into it. So before that, of course, before we learn how to write the characters, first of all, we would need to learn more about the Mandarin language, like how many words are there, how many characters are there. This is where we learn this lesson. All right, so many years ago, back in the 1700s, there was this Kangxi emperor. So this Kangxi emperor had a vision, right? He's like, how many characters are there like in the entire China? So what he did was that he compiled all the characters that there is at that time. And when he compiled it, he found that there are more than 47,000 Chinese characters. And this is back in like the 18th and the 19th century. So 47,000 characters, Chinese characters. And then because he compiled it, right, all these words, all these characters, he compiled it into one place and then he put it together. He called this thing a canon of characters, or as today we know it, the dictionary. So the word for dictionary in Mandarin is 字典. 字典. Okay, what it is a canon of characters. The word for dictionary is 字典. All right. So this thing that you see right here on the right side of the screen is really what we call the Kangxi 字典. Kangxi 字典. As you can see, the word Kangxi here, Kangxi is the emperor's name. Kangxi 字典 meaning the dictionary of Kangxi. Okay, right? So this differs from our so-called English and Malay language. Very simple. We only have 26 alphabets, A, B, C, D, E, all the way to Z. Wow, so easy. So then how do you make words? You take those A, B, C, D, you combine them together, and then voila, what you see on the screen. See, A, B, C, D, E all here, right? Now, Mandarin though, as I showed you just now, there are about 47,000 characters out there. But really, truly, what you need to get by to be considered good at the language is really 3,000 to 4,000 Chinese characters. I mean, honestly speaking, you won't feel like it. You won't feel like you have learned 3,000 to 4,000 Chinese characters once you're there. You will not feel that you have learned 3,000 to 4,000 Chinese characters. It's similar to how you know so many words in the Malay and the English language, right? Can you count how many words you know? You can't because you don't know. So that's how it is for Mandarin as well. You won't feel it. Of course, at the very beginning, you would feel like, what a hassle, what a thing to memorize all these things. But truly, when you're there, you will not even feel it. Yeah. All right. So this one says that 3,000 to 4,000 Chinese characters is good enough. But of course, as a learner, right, as a student, even I am a student, I'm still learning, right? You will always have to start somewhere. You will always have to start somewhere. And then, so like every other language in the world, there would usually be like a test, like a benchmark to show the world, to prove to the world that, hey, I have learned this many words. I have learned this many characters, equivalent to your so-called IELTS, equivalent to your so-called, well, what is like the equivalent in Malay though? I would say SPM, I guess. I don't know. But SPM is not really a true hallmark of like language test the way IELTS are. SPM is more like is beyond learning words, right? It's more about writing essays, it's more about learning how to use your proverbs and all that. So something similar also exists for the Mandarin language, but except that it doesn't work like SPM, it probably will work more like an IELTS, right? Or if you take Japanese, then it will be similar to your N, your N test. So if you have, like, for example, N5, then pretty much you know how many words. So there is something similar also for Chinese language, Mandarin language. That is what we call HSK. HSK. So HSK, right? HSK is the name of the test. It stands for 汉语水平考试. 汉语, as we learned last week, it means Mandarin. 汉语. Let me just write it down so you guys can see. Oh, 汉语. Oh dear. 汉语. Okay. 汉语水平考试. Okay. 汉语水平考试. In its pinyin, it is actually 汉语水平考试. 汉语水平考试. Okay. So HSK is actually derived from Hanyu 水平 S 考试 K. That's why we call it HSK. All right. So in English speakers or non-English speakers, basically those who don't speak Mandarin at all, will call it HSK. So HSK has about 6 levels for now, because it is bound to change soon. It will change to reflect the more complex parts of China. That is, if you want to enter universities in China, then you will have to take note of the change. But if you're just learning Mandarin to speak it, to converse with others, to do business dealings, then I suppose what you see on the screen should be enough. Right. So as I was saying, HSK, there are 3 levels, 1 to 6. For now, there are 6 levels. In the future, there'll be 9 levels. Right. So it's not as different as this one. So I'm not gonna worry you with the 9 levels. Let's just look at what's on screen. So usually the indicator is that if you've passed level 1, you have pretty much memorized about 150 vocabulary. So that requires you to study Mandarin for around 30 to 34 hours. All right, so level 2 is 300 vocabulary. Level 3 is 600 vocabulary. Level 4 is 1,200 vocabulary. Level 5, 2,500. Level 6 is more than 5,000 plus vocabulary. Now, look at this. What you can see is that how the number of vocabulary would vary by level. Truly though, if you really want to just use it to converse with others on like a daily basis, level 4 or level 5 would be more than sufficient for you. Level 6 is something that you would take if you are into the language. You really want to know all the words like a native. You really want to read documents like a native. Then yes, level 6 is something that you should pursue. But otherwise, at the very least, level 3. Level 3 would give you at least a basic understanding of what people can say. People talk in Mandarin, or people say in Mandarin, but it will not give you as much of an understanding that you would have in level 4 and level 5. Okay, all right. So now at least this slide sort of gives you an indication of like how many hours do I need to spend for you to master the language, all right? So anyone has any question about HSK? So one thing about HSK is that it's not something that the tuition center or me or anyone in for that matter, right, is trying to push to you, but this is something you need to know if you're taking Mandarin and you really want to be serious in it, you want to prove to the world you can speak the language, then this is the go-to test. This is the gold standard test. The gold standard test, yeah. You can take it independently or you can go through the center, meaning Edu Mandarin Center, to take it. But otherwise, I would really encourage you to take the exam, because then you can see and you can feel, you can have a sense of achievement of how much you have learned so far. I myself have taken HSK. I've done HSK level 6 a few years back. Well, level 6 is not easy, so that's all I can say. All right, so moving on. Let's learn more about Chinese characters. Now, Chinese characters have been formed by 6 ways, right? There are 6 ways that you can form a Chinese character. Not you can form, but it has been formed in the past. So the first way is pictograph, meaning you have a picture and then you sort of convert it into words, right? Second way is indicative, or you have an ideogram, right? And the third way is a combined ideogram. So you have one idea, then you sort of like, I want to compound it to show that there are more of that same idea in the same spot. That's what you call combined ideogram. Then you have phonetic compound. What phonetic compound is, it really is something that comes from the sound and then they sort of try to mimic it into words, yeah? Written words. And then you have mutual explanatory and phonetic loans. These are not things that we will be covering this in this lesson, but phonetic loans is pretty much like how we have English words which have been Malayfied. So you would have Mandarin words that is actually from another language, but it's written in Mandarin characters. Yeah? Okay, now let's look at the first one, the pictograph. So pictograph, basically it's your picture and your shape. I'm sorry, I'm not sure like what happened to my PowerPoint today. Usually it's not like that. Okay, so it's actually a picture or shape. Basically, most of the characters that we can see today, most of them, come from a picture writing, right? Come from a picture writing, and it looks like the shape of an object. So for example, are these words? What are these words? Come, let's look at it in the next slide. So let's look at this picture right here. So I will need some participation right here. So can anyone tell me what this photo looks like?
A lady?
A lady. Very good. It is a lady. It is in fact a lady. And from this word, from this picture that you see right here, it has pretty much evolved to become what you see on the right side, the character for ladies. You can see here, this one has an intersection here that you can see here. Then this is the head, then you have here the head, and then you have the shoulders here. Okay, so it doesn't look exactly like how it looked like in the in its original form, but it didn't just convert from this picture to this one right here. What happened in between was a lot of processes whereby they simplified the word or they made it so that it can be like a word, a character, before they landed on what we see right here on the right side today. So again, let's recap our lesson last week. You have you with the double dot. Can also be written with the letter V. And V is something that you can write in your phone if you want to get to this character. NV, don't write NU because you will never find NU with a double dot unless you're using an Android phone that can type out the double dot. But otherwise, I really would not recommend it like at all because it really takes a lot of time. So you can just type NV to find this character. So guys, let's recap what we learned last week. How do you pronounce this word? Anyone with any try? This is a third tone, right? Now this looks like a smiley. So how do you pronounce this? Anyone want to try? No. Try again. You with a double dot. How does it sound like? We, right? We. So N U double V is nu. Nu. Let's repeat out to me. Nu. Anyone want to repeat out to me? Nu.
No.
Nu. Come, let's have two fingers and then put it at the edge of your lips. Nu. Nu. Okay. Nu. All right. Very good. 很好. That's very good. So try to practice again. Now, this word is a very important word for you to practice. It must sound like nu. It must sound like nu. It cannot sound like nu, number one. And it cannot sound like new, number two. Why? Nu is lady, right? Nu is lady. Nu could sound like a slave. It could sound like a slave, the word that means slave. Not saying the word is slave, I'm saying no, could sound like a slave, or it could sound like anger also. No. Now the second one, new, could also mean cow. So do not get this word wrong, okay? You either get it right and make it sound like you're talking about a lady, or you could sound like you're talking about a cow or someone who is angry or a slave, okay? So let's try one more time. Nu. Anyone want to repeat after me? Nu.
No.
Nu. All right. Let's look at the next one. Now, what is this picture right here? Anyone want to take a guess?
Mountains.
Very good. Mountains. As you can see here, this is the picture. And this is how they tried to depict it in characters back then. And today it has evolved to look like this. The essence is still there. Your three peaks are still there. It's just that it's pretty much sharpened at the edges here. This word means hill or mountain. Shan, shan, Shan. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. What is this one? Can anyone take a guess?
Moon.
Very good. It is a moon. Now, anyone who likes to watch Avatar right here, not the blue one, the airbending one, that airbending Avatar. If you have watched it, of course, then you would know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, then you probably will not connect to what I'm speaking about right now. But in Avatar, there is one character who basically turns into the moon lah. She turned into a moon by taking in the moon spirit, and her name is Yue. Yue. If you watch Cardcaptor Sakura, also it's the same thing. The guardian angel that was supposed to be like supposed to source the power from the moon is also called Yue. This is a very interesting thing. So the more you watch what do you call that, shows, especially in the Japanese or Chinese culture, you would notice more and more of this word Yue. It is really just a variation of like moon, trying to say, hey, I got my powers from the moon. Hey, I am the moon. Hey, whatever, moon. So they would use the word yue. Okay, now in Mandarin though, the correct word, the correct pronunciation for the word moon is yue. It's fourth tone, right? Yue. Now again, remember A-E-I-O-U. E comes before U, so therefore the stroke is the intonation stroke is on E, not on U. Okay, yue, yue, fourth tone. Now let's look at how it evolved. So pretty much last time it looked like this. This was the drawing of a moon, and it evolved to become like this. And this pretty much looks like a bow and an arrow, right? And from there it evolved to become this. Perhaps someone in the middle added like an eye and what do you call that? Your lips that makes it look like it's smiling or it's sleeping. And then from there, perhaps it have evolved like to become this thing. So maybe someone did this. It's not a maybe, someone actually did this like last time. And then before that, and then after that, it evolved and it sharpened its edges. And then you have what you can see here today, right? Okay, now let's look at the next slide. Can anyone guess what this is?
Sun.
Anyone want to take a guess what this is? No one?
Sun.
Oh, it's the sun. Very good. It is the sun. Yes, correct. So this is the sun. So last time when you draw a sun, it would look something like what we can see on the left, because you know the sun is yellow, right? And it sort of emits like a bright light. And then it evolved to become what we see in the middle, like this, like a round thing with a dot in the middle. Okay, and then people were like, that's not too clear, because last time you had shillings, right? Remember shillings? And then coins can also tend to look like this. Well, back then, right? You have coins with a hole in the middle, right? That was back then. So they were like, maybe not too effective of a way for you to show that this is the sun. And then this word evolve, and again, the edges sharpened, and then this is what happens with today. This one on the right. And interestingly, the meaning also took like its own revolution, also had its own revolution. So as opposed to the sun, what this word now means is day, the day. Day, you know the day? Yeah, day. So this word right here means day. Not day as in today is what day, but it can refer to just day, right? Now, how do you pronounce this word? Again, this goes back to what we learned last week. Anyone want to take a jab on how do we pronounce this word? R-I, fourth tone. Anyone? It's okay, there's no rights or wrong here. We're all learning, right? So we don't need to be so shy. Anyhow, the more you try, the more you learn, the better you'll be. Anyone come?
R.
很好，日 R-I is 日 RI is where you don't open your mouth. I mean, you don't open your lips as much. So RI is R. Let's look at my lips right here. Is my camera on? Yeah. Let's look at my lips right here. RI is R. 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 Very simple. R. Okay. All right. Now let's look at the next slide. What is this? This is the easiest one so far. Anyone? Want to try?
Cow.
Cow. Very good. Yes, it's a cow. So this drawing right here was depicted this way on the left side, like back then. The essence are still there, right? You have your horns here, and you have something that kind of shows that this is the head, and this is the nose, and then it evolved to become this, more like a trident, and then it evolved to become more like a trident. And then, of course, many, many more evolutions until you have what you can see right here on the right side of the screen. Now, remember just now when I talked about ladies? If you pronounce it wrongly, it will sound like new. This is where we can see the word for cow. New. Again, A-E-I-O-U. When it comes to this, U comes after I, right? So that is where there is an exception. A-E-I-O-U. When I and U comes together, then the intonation will go on top of the U. Okay. All right. So new. All right. Now let's look at the next one. This one is a bit tricky, but anyone want to take a guess what this is all about? What this word will become?
Farmer.
Farmer. That is a good guess. Yes, that's a very good guess. Anyone else with a different guess? Yes, very good. So you had farmer, right? So last time, almost everyone are farmers. If they're not farmers, you're in the army. You would have the normal people who are the farmers, who are the tradesmen, and you would have the elites, meaning your richer people, those who are probably much higher on the top of the food chain. Then you have your king, your emperor, right? So for the people, right? For the people, when you look at people and then you want to say, hey, that's people. Not to say that that is a people, but when you want to just see how do you depict a person, like people in general, what you would see is usually a sea of farmer. What they would do is they'll be hunched down or bent down like this, picking up grasses, maybe adding fertilizers or things like that. But this is how you generally see people last time. If you want to see people, the first thing that will come to mind, or people who are hunched under the sun, tending to their farm, tending to the crops. And that is why this word right here, which is depicted this way last time, right? Someone hunching over, bending down, tending to their crops, is used as a word to depict human beings, people, people. And then it evolved to become what we see here today, run, all right, run. Now, the interesting thing about this word is that this word, it has two strokes, right? You can see it here, like a sort of like an umbrella if you think about it, or like a tent if you think about it. One thing that you would definitely need to notice is that the stroke that is on the left, if we actually divide it, there's two sides, right? The stroke that's on the left, right? The stroke that's on the left is actually a stroke that is on top. The stroke that is on the right is the one that is at the bottom. Why am I emphasizing this? Because if you reverse it, you take the stroke on the right and you put it on top, meaning you take the stroke on the right and then put it on top, it becomes a completely different word. Okay, so this is why it's very important for you to know your strokes as well. So again, run, this stroke right here, the one on the left is on top, right? If the one on the left is at the bottom, the one on the right is on top, it's a different word. The word becomes root, okay? Root means enter, different word. All right, now let's Look at this word again and let's repeat after me, please. 人 人
人
很好. 人 means people, people.
人
Very good. All right, now let's look at this one. What is this one?
It's a tree.
a tree
Very good. It's a tree. Very good. Now you all see a tree, and then it evolved to become this star thingy right here. Where did this star thingy come from? Basically, what you see here, your branches and then your roots. That's how you have this word right here. And today it evolved to become this. What these so-called branches are gone. What you have is a branch that is sort of straight. It's no longer like pointing upwards. It's a straight branch with more branches here. So technically what you see here, if you are a bit more creative, is that you can draw like a very nice tree bush here. And it can become a tree. Now, what you see right here is a tree. This is a tree, right? Today, this word that you see right here does not mean a tree anymore. It means wood. Wood. Okay, wood as in kayu lah, wood. How do you pronounce this word? This is a very, very easy word. Anyone want to take a jab?
Mo.
Sorry? Someone said something.
Mo.
Mo. Very good. Fourth tone. Mo. 很好. Mo.
mo
Very
mo
good. Mo. Now, let us move on. But before we move on, the whole reason why I'm showing you all these today is because I would like to show you that Mandarin characters, though, I mean, I'm sure you've seen quite a few, like especially, you know, on like shop signs or anything, you would find that to look a bit complicated. But the truth is Mandarin language is not that complicated. If you knew the origins, you knew how the thinking was behind that character, it will not be too hard for you to recognize a character. The most easiest example that you can see here is right here, mu. Right? It looks like a tree branch. So it must be something to do with a tree. You might not necessarily guess like it's a tree branch or it's tree or it's wood, but at least you know. All right, but if that doesn't work for you, then just know that these words, they didn't come out of the blue. They didn't come like from nowhere. They definitely came from something, and this is the something that you're looking at right now. Okay, and it's very interesting for you to always learn this. Okay, all right. So now we have completed all of the points under pictograph, all of the points under pictograph. Now let's look at the second one, indicative, or what we call ideograms. Indicative, or what we call ideogram. So the first one, it says, what is an ideogram? It's basically the point to the matter. What is a point to the matter? Meaning it's literally straight to the point. That's what I'm talking about, right? And there are two types of what do you call this thing? An ideogram. There are two types of ideograms. Now, what are the two types of ideogram? Now let's look at it. The first type is using a pictograph, which is what we learned just now, with an indicating sign. With an indicating sign. The first one we can see here. Remember this word right here? Can anyone remember?
Mo.
Anyone
tree
remember? Tree. Oh, okay. How do you pronounce it?
Mo.
Mu. Very good. Someone said mu. You take mu and you take a horizontal stroke and then you put it at the root of your tree. Then this new word means the root of a tree. Interesting, right? Yeah, it means the root of a tree. Then look at this second example. This word refers to knife. Tao refers to tao, knife. You take a dot, then you put it here, somewhere here, to show this is the sharpest point of the knife. Okay. So follow me, Now let's look at the second type. The second type is a easier type out of the two. It is basically about using symbols to express concepts. For example, let's look at the first word. No need to know how to pronounce this word, but can anyone guess or not what does this word means? This is
T.
one horizontal
One.
stripe. Correct. One horizontal stroke. One. Now there are two horizontal strokes. What does it mean?
It's
Two. Three horizontal strokes?
three.
Three. Correct. It's so easy, but it doesn't work that way after three. Yeah. So four will be a different word, but it's a very simple idea, right? Now let's look at the fourth word here. You don't have to know how to pronounce this word, but does anyone want to guess what this word means? So easy.
Three, right?
Sorry?
Three.
Tree is not the same thing. Look at this. This one is without the what do you call that? The leg. This one is this leg. This one doesn't have the leg. So anyone want to take a guess what this means? No one? Okay, all right. So imagine you are talking to your friend, but not really, because your friend is like sort of 200 meters away from you, quite far away from you. And then you can't shout because you don't have any voice anymore. And then you want to tell your friend, this thing is so big. How do you tell your friend? What kind of stuff would you do with your body to show your friend that this is big? You would open your arms wide, right? Big, it's so big. And then you would notice when you open your arms and then you're standing, right, with your two legs on the ground, you realize that you're actually mimicking this word, or actually like this word is mimicking you lah. Okay, so this word means big, right? It means big, or we call it ta. Ta. Okay, interesting, right? Okay, so now these are the two ways, the two types of ideograms. Now let's look again at this word, this mu and this horizontal stroke. That when you put the horizontal stroke at the bottom, it means the root of the tree. Okay, it means the root of the tree. Now, take away this horizontal stroke. You put it at the top here. Let me see. So you take away this horizontal stroke, take it away. You put it at the top here, right? In other words, this word lah. Right? Now, this refers to the top of the tree, or the word mo. Okay? Simple, right? Okay, right, let's move on. Let's look at the third type, which is what we call a combined ideogram. What is it? It means a compounded ideogram of what we learned just now. Remember just now what we learned, the two types? So combined ideogram is a combination, is a character that contains a combination of two ideograms, or two of the same ideograms. Yeah, so let's look at one. So this one you can see here. This word, remember? Mu, right? Mu, your wood. When you combine it together, you put it and you make it into one word. Make it into one word. This is one word, one character. It means this one mu, right? Mu and mu, wood and wood. Remember what does the base word means? It means tree, right? So when you combine it together, it means trees. This one is just tree. Singular. This one is trees. Okay. Now you have three, mu. Then you combine it into one character. What does it mean? Forest. Okay, so when you combine these two words, sun ling, this is sun, this is sun, this is ling. It means forest are sun ling. All right, now again, what we learned just now, ru. What does ru means? Bright, right? Or day, right? Day lah. Yue is moon, right? You combine it together into one character, you have a new word that's pronounced differently also. This one is ru. This one is yue. Okay, sorry, yue. This is yue. It becomes a new word, what we call Ming. Ming. What does Ming means? Anyone want to take a guess? It's quite clear already. What happens during the day is bright. What happens when you have the moon? It's bright. Ming means bright. Right? Interesting. Okay, let's move on. Now, this is two words you've never seen before. This is Tian and this is Li. Tian, as you can see, or you can probably guess from the character right here, what does it look like? If you take a drone and then you have the drone fly over like a rice crop, what would it look like? It would look like this lah. Haha, this is the crop and this is your walkway, right? You can walk here, you can walk here, you can walk here, whatever lah. So it is a farm really. And li means strength. strength. So what happens when you combine farm and strength? You get the word for men, like male population men, because male population, they have the strength to tend to the farm. Yeah, so interesting stuff. Now, let's take it a step further. Let's take it a step further, okay? Let's take it a step further. This is very simple in its meaning. You can have like a simple pictograph or a simple ideogram, then you combine it together, then it forms a new word and it has a new meaning. Let's take it a step further. Now, what you see here on the screen, why is it not moving? What you see here on the screen is a man walking to the tree. Remember this word? Mu, right? So again, when you have more than one mu, then it becomes like trees, or you have more than two mus, then it becomes like a forest. Now, this man is tired, right? So again, man, what is the word for man? Run, correct? Run. Now, what happens when a man is tired? He sees a tree, he wants to go rest under the tree. So the word run right here, sort of turn it around, you turn it around, like what I did just now. You turn it around and use this run as a radical. Radical is like something that appears a lot of times in many characters. Then you combine it with the word mu. Then you have this new word right here. What you see right here on screen. This new word is your run. If you notice this, let me change the color. If you notice this one here is actually run. See this run, right? This is run. You convert it, you twist it to become like this. Then you combine it with the word mu. Then you have the word for resting. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's go back to this so-called radical. What is radical? As I mentioned just now, what it really is really something that appears multiple times in many other characters. It is like a way for you to identify what the character is all about. For example, run with mu is resting. So you know resting is something that human beings do. That is why the radical is a man, a run. Let's look at other examples. This is the one that we just covered. Now, the word him is the word ta, which also carries a radical of run, the radical of run, because it refers to a person. Ta, him, a person. Ta. Same goes to you. Ni also has a run as a radical because it shows you, a human. Ni. And then you have enemies and you have foes. Usually enemies and foes are usually human beings, right? They're not other people, other things, right? So the radical will be also something to do with human beings. Ren. Now, this radical is what we call the Tan Ren Pang. You don't have to memorize this. Tan Ren Pang. Okay? Just know that whenever you see a word next time that has this radical, regardless, you have see this radical, you definitely can guess that it must be something to do with human beings. Must be something to do with human beings. Okay? Let's look at another radical. This is another word that we have just learned today. 女, lady. 女, the radical is called 女字旁. 女字旁. So all these words that you can see right here are words that are associated to women, ladies. Okay, women, ladies. The first word, let's repeat after me. Ma, ma. You want to repeat after me, please? Ma.
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 Ma means mother. Mama. You can see here.
Mama.
A girl radical. Then you have an older sister. 姐. 姐. Which also has a girl radical because sister ma. Then you have 妹, which is the word for younger sister. 妹妹 also has a girl radical. And then the word for her also has a girl radical. 她 also pronounced the same as the male one. 她. All right. So now let's go back to our 康熙字典. 康熙字典. When he compiled this so-called dictionary, what he did was that he got 47,000 characters, right? From the 47,000 characters, he grouped about 214 radicals from the 47,000 characters. So in other words, there are about 214 radicals out there that sort of appears again and again in different characters. Again, you don't have to memorize all of them, the 214 radicals. Some are more uh, more more widely used than others. Like for example, just now we see 单人旁 and 女字旁, right? Now let's look at the fourth one, phonetic compound. Now, phonetic compound is two parts lah. One is the sound, and another one is for the meaning. What does this mean? It means you have 女 and you have 马, then it becomes 马. Notice or not, this is 女, this is 马. 马 is a horse. And then the final word, right, sounds like the same as 马. It becomes 嘛. This one is third tone, this one is first tone. 马 to 嘛. The sound is the same as 马. Okay, the sound is the same as 马, just that it's a different intonation, right? So this, out of everything that we have learned today, number 4 will prove you the most useful in the long run. Take it from experience. Why? Because truthfully, there are a lot of characters right out there in the Mandarin world. Truthfully, sometimes you can't remember some words, or actually, you've never even seen some words. So sometimes what becomes your guiding principle is that you see a word, and in this word, let's say you don't know this word. You see this word, and in this word is a word that you know, this word. Then you can guess already, it should be pronounced as ma. Just that maybe the intonation is not third tone, it's a different tone. You can guess. This comes with experience, but this is the most useful one. The most useful one. Yeah? Right, now let's look at this one. So remember the word ma, which means horse, right? The evolution of horses, you can see right here, from here, a horse to what we see today as a word. Right, this is the third tone. Now again, using phonetic compound, everything that we can see on screen right here today is pronounced as ma, ma. Just that it has different intonation. What are the similarities of all these three words that you can see on screen now? Every single word has the word horse inside it. Okay, that is how I say you can derive the sound of the word from a word that is widely used. So you can see ma, ma, and ma. So ma, we all know, mama, mother. Ma is a question, yes or no question. Ma means I'm scolding you, I'm angry. Okay. Now let's look at this one. This word is the word that, this word actually is an interesting word. It comes from a snake. You can see here, this is the eye of the snake. The eye of the snake, right? And this is like the body and the tail. But today it doesn't mean the snake anymore. Huh? Today it actually means more of buses, and it's pronounced as pa, pa. Again, all these three words that you can see on screen all have the same thing inside there, which is the word pa. It's just that the intonation is different. One is pa, one is pa, one is pa. Okay? So just remember, whenever you see a new word and you are like, how do I pronounce it? Just look into the word. Hey, this looks like that word lah. I think it should be pronounced this way, but you don't know the intonation, but you can guess. Yeah? All right. So now let's go into the most important part of this lesson, which is how do we write Chinese characters. Again, there are only 8 basic strokes in the entire Chinese characters. 8 basic strokes. Now let's go through them one by one. The first one is a horizontal stroke. Right, so what I would need you to do for this part of the lesson is that you can get a pen and a paper, or if you don't want to, you can just use your finger. All right, so when you do a horizontal stroke, right, so this is something that I've seen quite a few students make the mistake of. Usually when they write like that, I can immediately tell that this person either did not go through a formal training of writing Mandarin, or they did, but they just couldn't bother. There is a reason why strokes are written the way it's written, because once you have gotten the momentum, right, of like how do you write a stroke, you can basically write any words. I'm not kidding. Any words you want. As long as you get the stroke right, it will come automatically, right? So this is where we learn the fundamentals of stroke. So look at this one right here. Horizontal stroke. Always take your finger, go from left to right, not right to left, left to right. It doesn't matter if you're a left-hander or if you're right-hander, doesn't matter. Always from left to right, left to right. Don't change anything. Left to right, okay? Left to right. So left to right. Now, interesting thing about what you see on the screen is that this one looks like a, wait, let me see. How do I do this? Wait, let me see. Change, erase all things, right? Okay, so what you see right here, right? It has like, don't know what shape like this, right? Don't worry about the shape too much. When you write on paper, using a pencil and a paper, just write one stroke like that and then you're good to go. Okay, you don't need to bother to draw until like, ayo, this one lah. And then you go and shade lah. Don't know, it's just one stroke like that. Okay, all right, so that is a rule. Horizontal stroke, left to right, non-negotiable. Okay, when it's a horizontal stroke, just one horizontal stroke, left to right. Now, let's go to the next one. Vertical stroke. Always top to bottom. Top to bottom. Top to bottom. Never bottom to up. Never. Okay? When it's a vertical stroke, top to bottom. Top to bottom. Moving on. You have an upward stroke. This is called a T. It looks like this, what you can see here, right here. This is a T. This one right here is an upward stroke. Again, left to right. You start from the left at the bottom, stroke upwards, stroke upwards. So you kind of feel like you're drawing a Nike sign, just do it, but you don't have this part lah. No need to draw this part. Just draw like this. Okay, just draw like this. Right? Simple, right? Upward stroke, left to right. Moving forward, a dot, a 点. Now this one looks like, wow, so complicated. But truthfully, when you write it in a book, in an exercise book, it really just looks like this. And it looks like this. It's like a dot, like haha, like a dot. In fact, what you see here, right here is a dot. Not this one. This one is different stroke. So this one is a dot. Okay, so this one is bigger to illustrate to you how to write it. So this one is simple. Left to right again. Left to right again. Left to right again. Left to right again. So a simple dot. Left to right. Okay, moving on. You have this one. It's called a pierre. It's so different from a horizontal stroke. A vertical stroke. A vertical stroke is just a straight one like this, right? Straight one like this. What a pierre is a downward left. So you go from here, you go all the way down here. In fact, you can see it right here. Okay, just here, pierre. Okay, this one also downward left. So when you see something that's shaped like this, immediately you know, okay, this one is from here, then you go left. Not from left, you go up, but from up, you go down. Okay, let's go down some more. Next one is called na. Na. Now, na is something you can see here also. This is a na. This is a na. What it is really, again, I think you can all tell the rule by now, left to right, right? So from here to here. From here to here. Okay? So it looks like this. Looks like this. Left to right again. Left to right again. Huh? Okay? Now, another one. This one is called a jaw. It's a turning thing. Something that turns. So what you write, how you write it is really just left to right and then pop, you bend it. Left to right, bend it. Left to right, bend it. So this is written in one stroke. Some students, they don't know. You write like this, then you write like this. Then you can tell one because you know here can got patah-patah like not connected like that. Then you know it's not correct. It's not like I'm going to point out it's incorrect to the student, but you can tell, oh, okay, this is not the correct way. It will be less efficient for you to write this way. So always straight turn. Okay? All right, let's move on. Another one is a hook. We call it a goal. A goal. Simple rule again. Whenever you see a straight line, what do? You start from the top. From the top, then you hook it. Top, then you hook it. Sorry, hook it like that. Top, hook it like that. It doesn't have to be a very big hook. It can be just a small hook. Okay? Now, We have learned all the strokes. Let's look at the basic stroke orders. This one is a rule. Is a rule you follow, you just follow only. Give or take 1 or 2 years later, it will come so naturally to you. But of course, 1 or 2 years later is on the basis of if you're not learning Mandarin seriously. But if you're learning seriously, then probably shorter than that. But the rule will always be like this. It's always from up to down. Always from up to down. I think we can see the rule just now when we write the vertical line. Always from up to down. Even the hook up to down. Even the pie is up to left. Na is from the top to the right. Right? Even if you write any characters, you always write up to down. So let's look at this word free. Which one do you write first? You write what's on top first. Then you work your way towards whatever that's down there. The second rule is always left to right. Always left to right. What do I mean by left to right? So you can see this one. This is a word. Correct or not? This is a word. So if we take this word, we divide it into two. You have a left side, you have a right side. You start with the left side. You complete this part first, then only you complete the right side. Okay, left to right. The third rule is something that looks like a box like this. How do you do this? This one is not so easy to demonstrate in this slide, but we will see in the coming slide. So let's look at the first rule from up to down. What does that mean? So when you have an up to down thing, what you do is that you complete whatever's on top first, right? Then you work your way down, all the way down. So again, this word right here, you can see, right? It can be split into top and bottom. This is a T, yeah? Dot, 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 dot. Top and bottom. So again, when you see something that can be split top and bottom right here, the rule is the same. You finish whatever's on top first, then only you finish whatever's at the bottom. Okay, finish the top first, then you finish the one at the bottom. So same thing goes for this. This one is not, this word right here is not as obvious as the second word we saw just now, which is this one. But you can see the progression. This is top. This is all the way going downwards. Right, so you finish whatever that's on top first, then you work your way down, then only you finish whatever is at the bottom. That is top to down rule. Second rule is left to right. Again, like I said just now, whenever you see a word, right, you can always separate it. It's either the word is just one word like what we see here. This is just one word. Like this is just one word, meaning one character in one word in one character. Or it is two words in one character, in which you can see quite clearly by the separation of this. You can see, oh, this part, I can take it out. I can carve out this part actually. I can also carve out this part. Right? Same thing goes to this one. I can carve out this part. I can carve out this part. Then you write whatever's on the left side, then you finish whatever's on the right side. Same thing goes to this one. Again, I can carve out this part, I can carve out this part. So I finish whatever's on the left side, and I complete whatever's on the right side. And finally, whatever that looks like a box. Doesn't matter if the box is square or rectangle, if it looks like a box, this is the rule you use. What you do is, first of all, okay, let's finish this animation first. First of all, okay, you draw the pillars first. What is a pillar? You do the left pillar first, then you do the roof. Then you close the roof with another pillar. Then this is like the only opening you haven't closed, right? You draw whatever's inside first. Okay, once you're done with whatever's inside, then you close the door. In other words, outside, then inside, then close the door. Again, the pillar, what is outside? The pillar, right? The pillar and the roof, and you close the pillar. Then whatever's inside, draw it first. Then you close the door. Same thing goes to this. You can see here, the pillar first, then you draw the roof and the other pillar. And then you have whatever's inside, then you close the door. Same rule, doesn't matter. If it's a box, square or rectangle, this is how you write it. Okay? And that is the end of our lesson. It's easy? Not easy? Or did I lose everyone?
Pening sudah.
Pening sudah. It's okay. You can take your time to learn throughout the entire week. Okay. All right. Anyone? Since it's already 9 o'clock. Wait. How do I do this? All right. So, are there any questions or not? If there are none, then I will say good night.